If you're struggling with writing anxiety, put punctuation in its place. In this video, I'm going to talk about punctuation, grammar, and style issues of writing well or writing good sentences that make a lot of writers anxious, and how to prioritize them in your writing process. A lot of people get really anxious about the formal aspects of writing, the grammar, the punctuation, and also issues of style like passive voice. They worry about writing bad sentences. This makes sense. We learn to write in the context of teachers who are very concerned with our use of technical, formal constructions. So makes sense we learn to worry about getting these things right, but the worry for many people becomes problematic. In conversation, people rarely suffer anxiety worrying about their grammar. They speak in sentence fragments and complete sentences, and, well, of course, they don't use any punctuation in their speech, but they just speak without getting stopped by anxiety about speaking right. In writing, however, a lot of people get concerned with grammar and punctuation, sometimes to the point that they can't write, that they're so anxious about getting the punctuation stuff right that their writing is really strongly impeded by concern over getting it right. Working with other writers, I've seen writers experience what I am calling the grammar distraction. And in that pattern, first, we formulate an idea that fits into the arc of our work. Second, we start writing to get that idea into our work. Third, notice some grammatical, formal, or stylistic issue that makes us uncomfortable. Fourth, start to focus on fixing that grammatical or stylistic issue and on getting it right. And in the process, we start to get concerned about our ability to get it right, about our ability as writers, whatever. And as we get distracted by our concern for getting it right, we forget the important idea that started us in the first place. And that's the problem. We want to keep the ideas because that's what the writing is really about. In writing, ideas come first. Grammar is not the most important part of writing, ideas are. We honor great scholars for their ideas, even if they were bad writers. We honor great poetry for the ideas as well as for the musical beauty of the language. And it's a rare poet, an exceptional poet, if there are any, who we honor for the beauty of their language without having any ideas. And of course, fiction is honored primarily for its ability to make us imagine a whole story, people, places, actions, and events, experiences, emotions. Good prose helps. It's appreciated for the way it helps convey the story, but it's not what we really judge fiction on. To putting it a different way, or to take this question from a different angle, we can hire an editor to clean up our prose. If we go to a publisher and we're getting our book published, they'll have an editor look over it to clean up our grammar, our prose, our punctuation. But you can't hire anyone to come up with the ideas. Not if you want to take authorial credit. If you don't come up with the ideas yourself and work them out yourself, you don't get authorial credit. That's what authorial credit is for. So ideas come first. In the writing process, this means staying focused on the ideas and not getting distracted by grammar. If you're working on content, if you're working on content ideas that need to go into your work, then stay focused on the ideas. Don't get distracted by grammar. If you're thinking about presentation and how to present the ideas, flow of ideas, narrative flow, structure, order, outline, all of these things of presentation, stay focused on them. Don't get distracted by grammar. I'll observe that you do want to leave time in your process for checking and correction, punctuation, grammar, and other formal elements, but the ideas come first. I've been speaking about how ideas are the most important part of writing, but I'm not saying that grammar and punctuation and the formal conventions aren't valuable. They are. They help your reader understand your ideas. So focus on how these conventions help you communicate And don't think about whether you're using them correctly. Just think about how they help your reader understand your ideas. When you use a period, what does that mean to your reader? When you use a semicolon, how does that shape the relationship between the phrases that you're writing? Just think about formal conventions in terms of helping your readers understand you. When you're writing, if you want to get better at this stuff and you don't want to be anxious about it, you want to practice, repeatedly practice so that you make them automatic. The more sentences you write, the more automatic it becomes to follow the formal conventions. I think a lot of writers automatically use a period at the end of a sentence. They don't think, I have to end the sentence here. They just hit the period key, they hit the space bar, they press shift and start the new word, just thinking, okay, new idea, I'm onto it. They don't think I have to use a period here, they just do it. Now, can we make that the same for semicolons or stuff like that? We can if we practice enough. We just got to repeat. You just got to practice again and again. For building skill as a writer, repetition is more important than strict adherence to formal conventions. We want to get ideas on the page because that's what matters most. But we learn more by writing a complete sloppy draft and then revising than we do by trying to labor to make that first draft flawless, because we get insight into grammar and punctuation and also expressing our ideas when we write the draft, and we get a different insight by reading and correcting that same draft. As a thought experiment, who do you think is going to learn more about writing? And who do you think is going to write a better paper? We have 6 hours and for our contestants, so to speak, to write a 500-word paper. Cautious Chris, our first contestant, writes a 500-word draft in 5 hours, very careful to get every sentence as close to perfect as possible. And then Chris spends 1 hour revising the draft. Alternatively, our other contestant is Messy Mickey, who writes a first 500-word draft in 90 minutes and then spends an hour revising it. Then Mickey writes a second complete 500-word draft in another 90 minutes and then spends another hour revising and proofreading. I don't have empirical evidence to prove this. I think that Messy Mickey's going to write a better paper in this 6-hour window, and I think in the future, Messy Mickey is going to have learned more about writing and become more comfortable writing. We'll be able to write faster, we'll be able to punctuate as well or better because they wrote and revised and wrote and revised. To summarize, ideas are the important part of writing. We don't want to get distracted by grammar and other formal conventions. We don't want them to take us away from our ideas and make us anxious. We do want to use them as tools to help us communicate effectively. In the long run, we want to try and make good punctuation and grammar automatic by writing a lot of sentences and revising a lot of sentences and practicing a lot. And also, we want to leave time for proofreading or for having an editor proofread. And so writing quickly helps with that too. Finally, if you start feeling anxiety about formal conventions, step back and try and focus on ideas. Tell yourself, remind yourself, the ideas matter most. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you have, please like, subscribe. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please write in the comments below. Thanks very much. Have a great day.